Good morning, everybody. Melissa and I are back with Dr. Jocker's Facebook Live page. Good morning, Melissa.
Good morning.
You and I were just speaking a little before. You're awaiting the Hurricane Michael.
Right. Yeah, it's going to come through Georgia after it hits Florida today. So it's pretty dark and gloomy outside, and you're out in the beautiful weather.
I know, this is like October in Maine is hardly ever like this. It's been 2 beautiful days in a row, like over 80. So I've been working outside, which has been really, really nice. Yesterday I got a little more vitamin D since I had been missing on it since early September. So that's always nice.
Awesome.
So Melissa and I are here to talk about grocery store shopping and some strategies on how to make sure you navigate the grocery store so that what you end up bringing home is good, healthy food that's easy to prepare, that is full of nutrient-dense items. Melissa gives grocery store tours with folks at Dr. Jocker's clinic in Kennesaw, correct?
Right.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Anyone in the community can come. They're free tours at Whole Foods, and we do them about once a month. And it's very laid back and fun and interactive. Whole families can come. You know, I love when the kids come. I love to get the family involved. So it's just a way to, give extra feedback to clients and educate people on, different foods that are healthy, because so many people get overwhelmed going to the grocery store, and you walk in and there's all these different products, and it's so hard to know what to buy, and you can end up spending a lot of money on things that really don't even meet your health goals because it is confusing. And it's just, so I'd like to kind of take the overwhelm out of it and point out different things to always include in the shopping cart and ideas.
Awesome. I love it. And I also teach at a community college locally. And for the past, I would say 3 or 4 semesters, I've been taking my students on a grocery store tour. And I feel like it's just one of those super practical life experiences, instead of just lecturing in the classroom, that this really helps them put into practice what I've been teaching. So, I think if you ever get a chance to do a grocery store tour, it's a really, really beneficial, helpful thing to do. So we're not at a grocery store today, but we're going to do our best to simulate being at one. And let's see, I just want to say hello to a few people. We have Misty Bowie. I think I've been talking to Misty on email a little bit. She said, good morning. Thanks for the tips. Thanks for tuning in, Misty. And then we have Mary Jo from Los Angeles. Thank you for joining us. Early for you in Los Angeles, 7 a.m. over there. So first, let's talk a little bit about the produce section. Good morning.
Yes, I always start in the produce section. I really feel like everyone should make that their priority when they go to the grocery store, because, what I really encourage clients to eat is a plant-based diet. And so you got to look to the produce section for all those vegetables and certain fruits. And so, really, there's any of your green vegetables are pretty much going to be very healthy. They're full of antioxidants. They have carotenoids, which give them the pigment. That's the antioxidant pigment that's in all of your yellow and red and green vegetables. So your kale, your broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cauliflower, your peppers, any of those foods are just delicious and nutritious to add to your cart. And you can incorporate them, in every meal in various ways. I like to point out to people there these noodles that are made out of zucchini and sweet potatoes and squashes, and those are a great alternative to the grain noodles that we're trying to avoid for inflammation. So,
and they're all done for you already. You don't even have to bring home the item and do it yourself with like a spiralizer or something. So it makes for a really easy meal, right?
Exactly. And spaghetti squash is another. A lot of people haven't tried that. That's kind of intimidating to them, but I encourage you to slice it, take the seeds out, and roast it. You'd be amazed at how delicious it is. It's one of my favorite vegetables. So
it's easy, right? It's so easy. After you've got to get a good sharp knife, because some of those spaghetti squashes are initially hard to cut through. But what an easy thing. I usually do the same thing. I'll put it bottom down, or cut in half and put down on a cookie sheet. And then I'll just saute a ton of different vegetables like you were just talking about, with the kale and the zucchini and the peppers and all the items that are filled with lots of good carotenoids and phytonutrients. And then just toss it like I'm doing a spaghetti stir fry, and it's just beyond delicious.
Yeah, so those are all great to add. And then of course the the spring mix and spinach if you're having spinach. So different that are already in containers for you. So I'll always recommend salads at lunch because you can put so much nutrition in a salad. So you can get celery and carrots and cucumbers and different things to add to your spring mix, and then top it with other things that we can talk about later. But other things to add, your sprouts are great to add. Broccoli sprouts are really rich in sulforaphane, which is cancer fighting. So I love to encourage people to do broccoli or kale sprouts. So those are always, some of the top things that I usually encourage people to add. Avocados.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Have you had sunflower sprouts? They're my absolute favorite.
No, I haven't seen those.
Melissa, they are like life-changing. I have a good friend who was growing them for a while and selling them to our community, and she was making so much money because people loved them. They're delicious.
No, I'll look for those. I haven't seen those yet.
Yeah.
So I was going to talk about avocados. They're loaded with healthy fats, fiber, potassium. They're great in smoothies, puddings, salads, wraps. You can make guacamole. I really encourage people to buy herbs, fresh herbs. A lot of people don't realize all the health benefits to herbs. I mean, they've got antimicrobial properties, antioxidants, enzymes. So they're loaded with all of this good stuff. And so just adding herbs to different things. So you could use cilantro, which is one of my favorites, got detoxification properties. Add that to your guacamole with some lime juice and some Himalayan salt, and that's just a great, quick, easy guacamole that's super healthy that you could put in your wraps. You could top your salads with it. You could just put on top of your protein for dinner. So lots of ways to use avocados. So I eat probably one a day of avocados. They're just super nutritious and delicious. So
yep. Absolutely. And they have the two things. I love to tell my clients, eat fat and fiber because it helps you feel full. And an avocado has I believe it's almost the same amount of fat and fiber. So it really is satiating. And, every time I put someone on some sort of weight loss program, or if weight loss is a goal for somebody, I do tell them to eat an avocado every day. And they tell me how much less hungry they are throughout the day, how much more satiated they are, and they can't believe how much less they eat throughout the day because the avocado fully satiated them.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah. It's a great fruit. A lot of people don't realize that's a fruit, not a vegetable. So
yes.
Speaking of fruits, I typically recommend the lower glycemic fruits, which are your berries, blueberries, raspberries, blackberries. Granny Smith apples are another example. Lemons and limes are great to eat throughout the day. They're loaded with vitamin C and those citrus bioflavonoids that are so good for you. They alkalize the body. They enhance liver detoxification. So first thing in the morning, I'd recommend fresh squeezed lemon in some water just to really hydrate your body and help the whole detoxification process kind of start. So those are the fruits I would recommend.
Yeah. So someone is asking us, Dion Dosias is asking if we have a handout to use for a tour. So we don't have a handout, but we have a lovely article that Melissa has written that this conversation is sort of based on, and I'll be providing a link to that after our conversation. So thanks for that question, Dion.
We do have various shopping guides on our website also. So I could, if you want to email me at melissa@drjockers.com, it's just drjockers.com. I can send you a copy of the shopping guide. There is one on our website too.
Cool. Thanks, Melissa.
And different shopping plans, but
cool.
So, and then there's, the refrigerated section at Whole Foods has all the fermented foods right there also. And adding a tablespoon of fermented foods to your meals can really improve your digestive health and maximize nutrient absorption. So another great thing to add when you're grocery shopping.
Yep. Let's see. Dion just asked you to move a little closer to the mic. I think she's having trouble hearing. I hear you loud and clear. I think better. We'll see if she responds.
I'll try to talk louder too. That might help.
Okay.
The
Cool.
last video, I was so close to the camera that it was just a full face shot, and so I was
Yeah.
trying to back up a little bit this time. But I'll just try to talk louder.
This looks perfect. This looks perfect. Yes, and I love all of the fermented foods that are in like a Whole Foods or your local co-op or natural food store. Um, I don't know about where you are, but I know they really try to highlight the local brands that are close to, your region, at least the Whole Foods in Maine and the one in Massachusetts that I go to. And I'm lucky because right up the road, there is a place that makes fermented food. And actually, when my kids were young, I brought them and their fellow homeschool mates there for a tour. And it was so cool to see, because I've been making fermented foods for probably about 10, 12 years now. But it was so cool to see them do it in the quantity that they do it. They use those big, huge barrels, like those big food grade, I think they're 30-gallon barrels or something like that. So it was really, really cool. Let's see. I don't know what they're asking here. Someone said, now it's harder to hear after you moved closer. It's hard for us to know on this end because we're hearing each other just fine. Is that right, Melissa? Can you hear me? And I know I can hear you.
I'll try using a microphone next time. Maybe
Okay.
that'll help things.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
so after we do the produce section, I usually move to the meat and fish, and I love to show people in the seafood department the difference in the farm salmon and the wild caught salmon. Because if you look at them side by side, you can see how the farm salmon is this kind of dull light orange color, and the wild caught salmon is that dark red, really deep color, and that's because the wild caught salmon is swimming upstream and strengthening. So a lot more nutritious than the farm salmon. Farm salmon, a lot of times they'll put food coloring in it to try to make it more orange. They feed the fish very toxic feed, and they also, have them in cages where they can't swim around at all. So really encourage you to do the wild caught salmon. In the as far as meat, we're always looking for grass-fed meats, beef, bison, lamb. They're all very nutritious. Grass-fed beef and dairy have high amounts of CLA, which is conjugated linoleic acid, and that's been shown to actually reduce fat in the body and increase lean muscle mass. So I know everybody wants to do that. So it's also good for your skin. It helps provide support and flexibility for your cell membrane. So it's just great metabolic fuel.
Yeah.
Um,
And as far as the, why we wouldn't want to consume foods that aren't grass-fed or pasture-raised, including wild-caught fish, wild-caught fish and CAFO animals are fed, genetically modified corn and soy, kept in unhealthy environments where disease is more easily grown, and then these animals end up needing antibiotics so that they can stay healthy. So yeah, it ends up being kind of this whole slippery slope where if we just focused on consuming animals and raising animals in the way that they're meant to be raised so that they do not promote disease, that they promote health within us. Many vegan and vegetarian arguments as to why people should not be eating meat is that it causes inflammation. But there are no studies done about what good grass-fed, pasture-raised meat does to the body. So I know that's been a huge argument. And because of all the nutrients that these grass-fed and pasture-raised meats contain, they actually promote the opposite. They promote anti-inflammation because they're loaded with the more omega fatty acids, like you were talking about, vitamin A, and it's preformed vitamin A. They take the grass, which has, and also vitamin K2. So they take the grass with the vitamin K, and then they're able to make vitamin K2 within them, and then that gets passed on to us when we consume their meat. So yeah, many, many reasons to be able to consume those types of meats. Anything else to add, Melissa?
No, not to that section.
Okay. Let's see. Someone had a question. I know wild caught salmon is best. How about wild cod also? I would say yes, but I also think this is one of those fish that aren't farm raised quite as commonly that I'm aware of, anyways. What do you think, Melissa?
Yeah, wild cod is the second that I would recommend.
Okay, okay. Hey,
And they usually fish those off of Alaska, which is actually where the wild caught salmon is caught. So yeah, I like both of those.
yep,
I think they're both
absolutely.
good options. Salmon's just got more. I think it's got more nutrients than the cod. So, but I know everyone doesn't like the taste of salmon. So cod's more of a mild taste that maybe your kids would appreciate more than the salmon.
Yep, yep. So, hey, we've got our old coworker, Haley Gibson Lee, who just said hello. Hi, Haley. We
Hey,
miss you as
Haley.
well. Thanks for saying hi. Okay, let's see. Now we're moving on to pantry items.
Yeah, sure. When we're looking at pantry items, I first show people the spices. There's lots of different spice blends now that are organic that kind of make it easier because you can find an Italian blend with a lot of different herbs in it, so you don't have to pick a bunch of different individual. They have Mexican blends, Indian blends, so a lot of delicious blends. I'm all about trying to make things as easy as possible because we're all busy and having time to cook is difficult for most people. So making it as easy as possible is really what I look for. Pink Himalayan salt, that's your least processed, most natural form of salt. Um, then the coconut products, there's so many different coconut products out there now. There's coconut butter, which is also called manna sometimes. So that's delicious. So if you haven't tried that, you've got to try it. It's just like a dessert almost. So I love to roast vegetables and melt that coconut butter on top. It's amazing. Then your coconut flour and flakes. There's even coconut wraps. It's what I put in my husband's lunch almost every day, a coconut wrap with either a curry chicken salad or a different type of chicken salad. I'll use the avocado mayonnaise and just some curry powder, and he loves that lunch and really helps keep his blood sugar steady throughout the day. So just some ideas there. Cinnamon, great for balancing your blood sugar. It's awesome to add to your smoothies. Turmeric's anti-inflammatory, another great one to add. And you can get fresh turmeric and ginger in the produce section. I forgot to mention that. So I encourage people to buy those fresh and add them to your bone broth or add them to your smoothie just to get more of those nutrients. But turmeric's great for inflammation. Apple cider vinegar, you want the raw unpasteurized. I'm sure all of you know that now, but with the mother attached is what they call it. Olives and olive oil, obviously. Your healthier fats are your avocado oil, your olive oil, your coconut oil, of course, your butter and ghee, which we'll talk about in refrigerated. But ghee is actually usually in the pantry section. So just some different things to look at. We kind of just go through and I'll just point things out, but those are some of the main things that I usually bring up with people.
Yeah, those are great ideas. And, depending on how much you go through, I know that you have a large family. Melissa is a mama to two sets of twins. So I imagine the amount of food you go through on a daily or weekly basis is enormous.
Absolutely.
So I know I don't have a Costco membership, but I have friends who do. And every 6 months to a year, I have them stock up on it. They have, I think it's about 2/3 or 3/4 of a gallon of coconut oil that you could buy. It's extra virgin, it's organic. So it's really good quality coconut oil for a fraction of the price that if you buy it in smaller quantities. And I just go through so much of it that it's really worth me buying these. So if you have a Costco membership or if you have a friend who has a Costco membership, I recommend buying it in bulk.
Yes, absolutely. I usually go to Costco once a week, so with
Once
my
a week.
family.
Wow, Melissa, I can't even imagine your grocery bill.
Well, and there's a lot of selection there. I mean, there's definitely the same things at Whole Foods typically, but you can just get the bigger bags. So, like in the frozen section, the cauliflower rice is really one of my favorite
Yeah.
things to, because it's so versatile. You can use it in your curries. You can use it. I'll use it instead of tortillas or rice for fajita night. I just use cauliflower rice and then do the fajita meat and everything on top of the rice and add some
Great.
salsa if you're eating tomatoes. Some people aren't eating tomatoes because they can be inflammatory, but I'll add salsa and then some grass-fed sour cream on top of that, and it's just delicious. So cauliflower rice is one. Frozen berries are another great thing to get in the freezer department. A lot of people are asking me all the time, how do I afford to eat organic? It's so expensive. And one of my main tricks with that is to eat seasonally. If you'll notice for example, the organic strawberries in the winter, they can be $7 or $8 for a pint of strawberries, but in the summer they're $3. So in the winter, I encourage people to look for the frozen.
Yeah.
And I like the frozen better actually in my smoothies in the morning because they just give it more of that icy cold texture, which makes it more like a milkshake than liquidy. So just some options there. So buying frozen is a great way to save money.
Yeah.
And you can stock up because it's hard to always have those fresh vegetables in the refrigerator. So, I work late a couple of nights, and when I get home, I'll go to the freezer. I'll get the frozen broccoli, and I can roast it pretty quickly, and have a vegetable ready and put some grass-fed butter on top. My kids love that. So,
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
freezer stocked.
Yeah, for sure. And one good way I know, like in New England, and a big part of what our community does is they stock up. If you have a farm share, stock up on certain things. Sometimes my farm, they weren't very good about this. This is my biggest complaint for my farm this year, is that it wasn't unlimited kale. So in the past, it's been like unlimited kale. Take what you'll use this week. And so I would take a big grocery bag every week. I'd go home, I'd wash it, I'd de-stem it, and I'd shove it into freezer bags. And I have a large freezer downstairs, so I'm able to store things like this. So eating seasonably is really, really helpful. Stocking up and taking advantage of what you're currently growing in your season. My girls and I, back in late July, early August, we went and picked 30 pounds of blueberries. So these are things that you can do, like you said, time savers, money savers, eating seasonably. Eating blueberries in the middle of winter that were picked at ripeness in the summer are much better than when they're not picked so ripe. So absolutely. Great, great. So there's a couple questions here asking about, Melissa mentioned putting a tablespoon of something in a drink. Melissa, I'm trying to remember what that was, and two people asked. That's why. What was the tablespoon just mentioned? Actually, it was the same thought. I'm trying to remember.
I'll have to think of that. I'm not. Oh, well, I was talking about adding cinnamon to your smoothie, so I'm not sure if that was it.
Right.
And lemon juice in your water in the morning. That was something I mentioned.
Okay. Another question we have is, how about the Vegenaise? Claudia, I'm not a huge fan of the Vegenaise. It's usually with the oils that I don't really like the canola oil or the sunflower oil or the safflower oil or the soybean oil. And these are all really inflammatory oils. So it's not my preference. I would absolutely go for the avocado mayonnaise that Melissa was talking about, but you need to be really careful. This is when looking at ingredients is important. I believe mainstream brands like Hellmann's is now making like an avocado oil mayonnaise, or a extra virgin olive oil mayonnaise. And if you look at the ingredients, it's a fraction of what's in there. So I really urge you again to not skimp when it comes to fats as far as expense goes, because usually you get what you pay for. Primal, what's it called? Primal Kitchen, Mark Sisson's brand. They make a great mayonnaise. I think there's a Sir Kensington that I've seen at Costco, and you get twice the amount for almost half the price. So that's another one. Have you seen that Sir Kensington at your Costco, Melissa?
No, I haven't. I haven't seen that.
I think it's a quart size and it's only, $6 or $7 versus $10 for a pint of the Primal Kitchen.
Yeah, you really have to look at your salad dressings, your mayonnaise, different products for the toxic oils. So you don't want anything. Most of the salad dressings have canola oil. We encourage you not to have that because it is very high in omega-6 fatty acids. And while omega-6 are essential fatty acids, we eat them out of ratio. So it should be more of a 2-to-1 ratio rather than a 1-to-20 ratio. So 2-to-1 omega-6 to omega-3 versus 20-to-1 omega-6 omega-3. So just encourage you to reduce as much as you can your omega-6. The tablespoon, I do know it. I was talking about fermented foods, adding a tablespoon of fermented foods to your meals to
Mhm.
improve digestive health and nutrient absorption. You can also do apple cider vinegar, but that's really strong. So a tablespoon would probably not taste very well to you. So you could do more like a half a tablespoon diluted in some water. Drink that before your meal just to help with the digestive process.
Yeah.
But you don't want to drink a lot of water with your meals just because that can dilute your digestive juices. So this would just be a small amount of water with apple cider vinegar before your meal to get your digestion going.
Yep. Yep. And Wendy asked about avocado mayo. It's good. Yes, right on. Just be careful. Claudia's asking about grape seed. Again, it's still a little bit heavy on the omega-6s, and if we're trying to balance it out, I recommend using the avocado oil or there are some, or making your own. We I think, do we have a recipe on our site? I think we have a recipe on our site. If not, you could probably Google a recipe. I did make um, olive oil mayonnaise one time and it was pretty cool. I just caution you that you have to make it before you're ready to eat because it does need some refrigeration time to sort of harden and set. Otherwise, it's very liquidy. Um, let's see. And yeah, about the salad dressings, Melissa, I think that this is one of the biggest hidden bad oils and hidden sugars out there, right? As far as like
Mm-hmm.
we have sauces and I always tell people unless you want to pay like $8 to $10 a bottle for a small bottle of salad dressing, make your own. Make your own because it is rare to find salad dressings that don't have canola or soybean, even things like Annie's. Like people think Annie's salad dressing is a good salad dressing, but look at the label. Soybean oil, canola oil. Yeah. So we need to be
Yeah,
careful.
there was a recipe I shared last week for salad dressing, and actually one of my clients shared it with me. But you take an avocado and some olive oil, and you just put it in a food processor with some. You can put cilantro with some sea
Mm,
salt, some lime juice, and you make a salad dressing, and that really makes it where the avocado kind of spreads over all of your lettuces, and it's so delicious. It's one of my favorite things, but I typically will just do extra virgin olive oil and either balsamic or apple cider vinegar and some lemon juice for my salad dressing because it is much healthier just to make your own.
yep. And cheaper.
Yes, and cheaper. Absolutely. So
Okay.
moving on to the refrigerated section, we're all like just like with the meat, you're looking for grass-fed dairy. So grass-fed butter is really high in your fat-soluble vitamins, which are A, D, and K2. It also has butyrate, which is a small chain fatty acid that's really good for your gut health and reducing inflammation. So grass-fed butter is just so healthy and a great option. I'm so thankful that now we know that that's healthy because I love butter and I deprived myself for so many years because we heard about how unhealthy it was. So definitely add butter to your food. Um, Eggs are another just nutrition powerhouse. So they're a complete protein full of antioxidants, vitamin D, healthy fats. Love to feed my children eggs in the morning before they go to school because I know they're getting a nutritious breakfast that's full of nutrients and protein and fat. It's just a well balanced way to feed your kids in the morning and yourself. So making omelets, I call it a messy omelet, mine, because I never can fold it over perfect. So it's just kind of scrambled vegetables and eggs together. But one of my favorite breakfasts, and you can include some grass fed cheese to it. So definitely if you have, some people have dairy intolerances, so you could not do the grass-fed cheese, but a lot of people, even if they have a dairy intolerance, can do ghee, even if they can't tolerate the butter. So ghee would be an option for most people.
Hmm. And quality of eggs really matters, right? I tell people to look for the eggs. And I will say, even if it says pasture raised, I have discovered that these pasture raised eggs don't always look as great as some of the other eggs. Do you have Nellie's eggs where you are, or is that like a New England thing?
We do. We have Nellie's. That's one of my favorite brands. Vital Farms is another. And yeah, it's kind of like the salmon. If you open a conventionally raised egg, it's that light yellow. And but if you open a true pasture raised egg, and I prefer organic feed just to make sure it's organic. Also, with any chicken products, I like organic and pasture raised if you can find it. But it'll have like almost a dark orange yolk, which, the yolk is the really healthy part of the egg. So I
Mhm.
love to compare those two. And, sometimes the egg white will be cloudy in the conventional egg and much clearer in the pastured egg. So,
Yep.
show that to your kids. Yeah, I love to show my kids that. Let's open, let's compare, let's see.
I know, but nothing makes me angrier than when I spend $8 on pasture raised eggs and I bring it home and the yolk is pale yellow. I want to go and throw eggs.
Yeah.
I'm so angry.
Yeah.
Wendy's asking, is Vital a good egg company? I think, is Vital the one that makes the grass fed butter too? Or am I?
There's Vital Farms, I think is the name of that. And that is one I like. Yes.
Yeah. So yes, Wendy. Let's see. Farzana is saying, thanks for the great information on salad dressing. I do think that's really, really important. So I'm glad you find that helpful. Anything else as far as refrigerated items go? Oh,
Well, there's the coconut milk. A lot of people ask me for their smoothies, should they do canned coconut milk or the refrigerated coconut milk? And I just encourage the canned coconut milk. Well, it's in a can. I don't love things in cans, but if you can find just simply coconut milk that doesn't have anything added to it, that's great. A lot of the refrigerated coconut milks, if you look at the ingredients, there's a ton of different ingredients in it. So I usually recommend the So Delicious. Just make sure you're getting unsweetened. A lot of the coconut milks have sugar added. So an unsweetened coconut milk is that the refrigerated version is the one I put in my smoothie in the morning. I use the So Delicious brand. So that's another option in the refrigerated section. As far as yogurts go, look for the grass fed, unsweetened, add your own berries and some stevia.
whole milk.
Yeah, whole
Whole
milk.
milk.
Yes, you
Get the
don't want
fat
the
in
skim milk. Absolutely.
there.
Stevia and monk fruit are the two sweeteners that I recommend. They don't impact your blood sugar. I actually did an article on that. If anyone's interested, you can email me and I'll send it to you. But those both have their science behind their health benefits also. So not only are you not, causing blood sugar swings by eating them, you also, they have health benefits. So those are the two I recommend the most. Just check the labels on those also. That's really the biggest lesson at the grocery store is check labels, because it can
So,
say stevia, and stevia is the third ingredient. It'll have other sugar alcohols, or, so just be sure to always check labels.
yeah, yeah. One of the thing about the cheese is I've discovered, through the years that it's more economical and better for you to buy a block of cheese, and if you need it shredded, shred it at home versus buying the pre-shredded cheese, which is loaded with anti-caking agents, which aren't so great for us. So I know it takes some extra time to shred the cheese. I'll usually give that job to one of my girls. So, share the responsibility of cooking at home, because everyone gets to enjoy the yummy food. We should all be involved in the cooking process. So we have a couple of questions that I just want to address. Let's see. Do you have a recommendation for almond milk? Melissa, do you agree that you do like the So Delicious of the almond milk as well as the So Delicious of the coconut?
I'm not sure that they have an almond milk.
Oh,
I don't remember seeing the almond milk at my store, but as far as almond milk, you know, um, just read the label. like I
Yeah.
said on the other, I don't have a specific brand I recommend, but the fewer additives, preservatives, fillers that it has in it, the better.
Yeah.
A lot of people say that the almond milk actually has very few almonds, so I encourage you to actually get a recipe and make your own almond milk. That's really the best way to do that one.
Shirley, our coworker, is saying, do you like non-dairy yogurts for someone who can't consume dairy? I would say yes. I think that there are some good ones out there, and I think there's some ones out there that are loaded with sugar. So I think, again, you just need to be careful. Find one that's got the most amount of fat and the least amount of sugar. I know coconut is my favorite non-dairy yogurt, personally. But I think they make some decent almond ones. I'd stay away from soy, but I think a lot of people know that. You have any particular brands you like, Melissa?
No, just to get, like you said, stay away from the sugar ones.
Yep, yep. All right. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Do we have anything else to add, Melissa? I feel like we've hit most of our topics here.
I think we covered everything. If you do have any questions, you can reach out to either one of us by email, and we'd be happy to answer.
Yep. I'll put our emails in this link as well. And I hope you all have a lovely day. Enjoy. Thank you again for joining us. Bye-bye.
All right, thanks.